I'm so glad that you joined me for chicken nuggets. Whether you like them baked and breaded or fried, I'm going to show you and explain why it's so much better to make them at home. Join me. I'll give you 4 good reasons to consider making these chicken nuggets at home. 1 is quality control. You can decide on the type of chicken you're going to use, whether it's chicken breast or chicken thighs, no fillers, of course, the quality of your breadcrumbs or your coating, and absolutely the quality of your seasonings, which you don't have control over when you buy frozen nuggets. Reason number 2 is customization. Chicken nuggets don't have to be boring, nor do they have to have the same flavor. You can use different types of coating, seasoning, flavoring, all sorts of different textures. Customization is another key reason to make these at home. The third reason is the health benefits. Pre-made frozen nuggets tend to have a lot more sodium and a ton of fat. You can control the fat and the sodium when you make them at home, and they are so much more healthier without all of those preservatives and additives. And last but not least, the fourth benefit, making them at home is so much more cost effective. Wouldn't you rather keep the money in your wallet? Especially if you're buying your ingredients in bulk, they are so much less expensive than if you bought the pre-made frozen ones. Now that I've outlined some really good reasons why to make these chicken nuggets at home, let's get started. Remember, we're making 2 types of chicken nuggets in just 20 minutes. Let's go. I got my handy dandy gloves on because you want to keep yourself free from the chicken. We're going to start off by cutting the chicken into cubes for both the fried and the baked chicken nuggets. No super science to cutting your chicken, except for the fact that if they're relatively the same size, they cook fairly evenly. However, it's also nice to have some wonky doodle sizes and shapes just so that it's fun and so that it grabs onto the batter and or the sauce. Key point here is even though they're wonkadoodle shapes, the thickness of each nugget is relatively the same. Back to the element of customization. So a lot of people just put the chicken nuggets as they are in a batter or a coating that they put the seasoning into. I prefer to add my coating after I've seasoned the chicken. So I'm going to season the chicken first, and this is the best part, is you can add whatever seasonings you prefer. I'm using basil, garlic salt, onion powder, paprika, salt, pepper, but you can certainly use whatever you prefer on chicken. I'm starting off with a little bit of salt, not too much because there's also going to be salt in the coating. Next, I'm adding basil. I'm adding pepper. If you don't like pepper, and there are some people in your family who prefer not to have pepper, season half of it and don't put pepper on the other half. That way you have a customization within your customization. Paprika gives it a lot of flavor along with some color. Who doesn't love a little bit of garlic? Garlic goes good on almost anything. Last but certainly not least, onion gives it a sweet flavor along with that savory note, helps out to build all the different levels of flavor. These chickens have been working hard. It's time to give them a nice good massage. Part of the reason I wear the gloves, but also so that your spices aren't clumped up into one area and each of the pieces of chicken is well coated. Work the seasoning into all of the nooks and crannies of the chicken. It just makes it so much more flavorful. You know, some would even take the time to cook one of these pieces of chicken just to make sure it's at the right seasoning level that you are looking for. We are at that point where it's time to divide and conquer. This is team batter and fry. This is team batter and bake. So the first one we're going to start off with is the one that we're going to bake. So we're going to put an egg wash on it and breadcrumb coating, and it's going to go into the oven. Let's get started. We've got my 3 stations set up. It's the flour, the egg wash, and the panko breadcrumbs. However, the first thing that you're going to taste on your tongue when you chew into that nugget is the breadcrumb or the coating. You want to season all of that. So I'm going to put some salt and paprika into both the flour, the egg, as well as the breadcrumbs. Now I'm adding a little bit of the paprika to the flour, the eggs, and the breadcrumbs. Give the breadcrumbs a good mix, and they don't attach onto the fork, so I always start with the breadcrumbs first. Now we're going to move all the way over to the flour, give that a good mix, get all that salt worked around, and the eggs. And we're almost ready for the chicken to go through the dunking. Drop your chicken in, move it around, get it well coated with the flour. We're now moving on to the next station. Dropped into the egg wash, move it around with the fork. Leave that fork in there. It's easier to maneuver it with the fork in there. Pull it out, drain off a little bit of that egg wash, drop it into the panko. Have a spoon handy just to flip all of the breadcrumbs onto the nugget, pat it down. That's going to help a lot of that panko stick onto it. And you can just lift it right on up. If you want it super crispy, do the entire process one more time. Now that we've finished coating all of the chicken nuggets with the breadcrumbs, it's time to put a light coating of cooking oil onto both sides so that it will crisp up beautifully in the oven. You'll notice that I've put a mesh, and they're all sitting on a mesh so that they can get the heat from the bottom as well as the top. I just want to put a light coating so that it bakes and crisps up at the same time. In just a few minutes, these nuggets are ready for the oven. While they're in the oven, we're going to start tackling the batter fried chicken nuggets. Super quick. It took me less than 10 minutes to prep this. I'm a big believer in not wasting product. And so the reason I do the breadcrumb one first is that all of these ingredients are basically going to go into the batter for the second one. I will spell out the exact batter recipe in the description box below. I'm adding the flour left over from the dredge, the panko breadcrumbs, and last but not least, the egg. This is a key ingredient, the baking powder. One more egg goes in. I'm going to add a little more salt, just like that. Adding a little bit of flour to coat each of the nuggets so that they'll allow the batter to stick onto it. Twist together all of these ingredients. Once it's more or less well combined, still dry, we're adding in, you can either add in club soda or beer or non-alcoholic beer. Kind of a carbonated liquid works best. And you want a thick batter. Adding a little bit of liquid at a time until you get the right consistency. You don't want it too loose or too thin because you want it to stick to the nuggets, but you certainly don't want it too thick because it will just be clumpy. This is a consistency that you're looking for. It sort of leaves a ribbon in the batter as you drop it in, and it's pretty thick, and don't worry about it being clumpy. It makes for crunchier bits. 18 minutes later at 410, these are all done. Come on in closer and I'm going to show you how delicious, crispy, and done they are. Look at that. Can you hear how crispy that is? Let's cut one open so you can see it's juicy and moist on the inside. Does that not look absolutely delicious? Let's move on to the next one. I'm just waiting for my oil to heat up. We're going to do the fried chicken nuggets. You can test out your oil by taking a little bit of batter and dropping a little drop right into the center. And if it doesn't come up right away, your oil's not quite hot enough. Do a quick oil test. Drop a little bit in. It's starting to bubble. It's almost ready. It's coming up fast and furious. The oil's ready. The chicken's coated in a dry mix. Now we're going to drop it into the batter, coat it really well on both sides, drain it along the edge, and it's going to go straight into the oil. Don't overcrowd your pan. They won't cook very well. Drop it in, coat it on both sides. Let's move down over to the oil, and into the oil it goes. You can put 3 or 4, 5 or 6, depending on the size of your pan, but don't put too many. If it's overcrowded, it drops the temperature of the oil and it won't cook the chicken. We've cooked these for 2 minutes aside. Now they're going in the oven for 10 minutes. Quick, easy, delicious dipping sauce is 3 or 4 tablespoons of yogurt, some fresh dill or frozen dill, a little bit of salt, and a hint of lemon juice. Give that a good stir. And this makes for an amazing snack. fried nuggets are fully cooked. It's time to show you what they look like on the inside, just like we did with the breaded. Come on in closer. Let's take a closer look at what it looks like on the inside. Nice and juicy, delicious. In just a few minutes, we did the breaded chicken nuggets along with the fried chicken nuggets, and they are both freezable. You can put them in separate bags, put them in the freezer. Just remember, when you're putting it back into the oven, put it from frozen into the oven for 10 minutes at about 415 degrees. I hope you join me for more interesting, innovative recipes. Remember, the reason we make these at home: quality control, health benefits, cost effective, and truthfully, I think they taste better. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care and have an awesome day. On that note, I think I'm going to have a little piece of one myself.